Happy Monday, all. If you're new here, welcome to the Right View, where we talk about politics, some entertainment, and we give our opinions on certain things. Nothing wrong with that. We got freedom of speech, so let's do this. We got a lot to get into today, so without further ado, let's get started. Good morning and happy Monday, all. I hope everyone had a safe weekend. Like I said, welcome aboard if you're new here. We're going to talk about Hope Walz today. And if you don't know who that is Tim Walz's daughter. That kind of looks like that actor from X-Men that turned into a dude. That is pretending to be a dude. We're going to talk about her recent TikTok and how she is blasting a fellow female TikToker who's a runner, and she's talking about how running is a privilege in this country and how terrible MAGA people are. So let's check that out.
An act is political, and you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school, granted I don't really do it as much anymore, I go in spurts, but when I was first getting into it in high school, the first thing he told me was that running is a privilege, and being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access to.
Now, those of you who run, do you consider yourself privileged, and do you look at that every single time you run to be privileged? Are you part of the running community? Do you consider it to be a privilege or an activity? I don't know. Let me know.
Whether you do it recreationally or you race a lot or you are, at the elite level, it is a privilege. Whether it be you just having the time to run.
I'm going to chime in once again here. The biggest excuse people make for not doing physical activity is not having the time. That is not an excuse. There's virtually no place on this planet that people are working 23 hours a day and they only have an hour for food, sleep, and whatever else, right? Everyone has the time to do physical activity. They just don't do it, and they use time as an excuse.
Access to funds to buy the gear, access to, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running, access to, a safe, stable situation that allows you to be in a good mental state to be able to run. All of those things are hard to come by, and if you have them and are a part of the running community, that is a privilege. And that, again, was the first thing he taught me. So I don't really understand how platforming and administration that cuts mental health services, cuts, funding and literal shipments to food banks, is entirely hurting the climate, because you can get into running and the climate. That's a whole nother thing.
Running and the climate. I wonder how running impacts climate change, right? As if it's even a real thing. But these people will do and say anything they can to be the victim of something, right? Or to be oppressed in something. It's wild how their mind works. And her father's Tim Walz, the guy that put tampons in boys' bathrooms, which is cynical, to be honest. But running and climate change, that is very interesting, and also one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
But it's cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way. Sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities.
Villainizing minorities. Yeah, that's not happening. We're trying to get rid of gang members and criminals that came here illegally, period. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're not villainizing anybody besides criminals, obviously. And speaking of minorities, Hispanics and blacks came out in unprecedented levels and voted for President Donald Trump. Americans want common sense back, something that this young woman doesn't have much of.
All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page. But I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides.
Yeah, this young woman is clearly, she's suffering from some type of mental illness. I mean, it's celebrated nowadays, mental illnesses, rather than actually being talked about. She's a weird person, but she was raised by Tim Walz. Now, imagine having Tim Walz be the vice president of the United States. That dude is he's some type of weirdo, right? And like I said before, if they would have won, this country would be destroyed by now, right? The border would have remained open. There would have been tampons in all men's bathrooms. Women's sports. I mean, you're seeing it in Maine right now, how young men that are not even disguising themselves as women now are destroying young women in sports. It's insane, right? But imagine if Tim Walz would be our president rather than J.D. Vance, right? So you got Marine and you got a National Guardsman, right? The one who literally abandoned his contract before he got deployed. I mean, what a guy. And speaking of Maine, who is still against common sense, right? Saying that there's no science between a difference between biological males and females, and they're still allowing men to stomp on women's rights there and destroy them in their own sports. Here's a little bit of that.
Ollie, you got this. Looking strong. Let's go.
All right, yeah, after seeing that, if any of you know anything about running, the young man's stride, the Soren Stark Chessa, which is an odd name, his stride was perfect at the end there. During that final sprint, he had hit squared, he had just a great stride. Lila Connor, who came in second place or first place for the girls, her stride was falling apart because she was absolutely exhausted, right? Absolutely exhausted. Soren Stark Chessa, who is more cut up than a Julian salad, right?
You're more shredded than a Julian salad, man.
He could have ran another lap, I guarantee it. And I think his stride would have still been just outstanding. I think young women need to stop. I mean, it sucks that they'd have to do this, but the school and the people that voted for these Democrats are letting these young girls and women down, right? I think they need to just start doing their track and field and all their other events on their own without the school's guidance, right? And these young men that are competing with the girls, they can do it by themselves, and they can be the winner. They can get all the medals, and they can't destroy young girl and women anymore because it's terrible to see. It's terrible to see. All right, and something different, but I found this funny comic as I was scrolling through X, and I think you guys will like it as well. I think it rings true with what we have going on in the United States and all these liberal activist judges right now. It's something you don't see every day as well. This happened in Beverly Hills, California, which is pretty shocking. It's California, right? And I know I've been making fun of California a lot lately, but you know, in this they get a point in my book here, and this was shared from a TikTok user called Media is Deception. Here you go. Let the patriotism begin. Yeah, you just love to see it. Outstanding patriotism from California there. These are the people that decided to turn off mainstream media and become free thinkers. So yeah, points for them. On another note, I'd like to thank all my viewers, and I'd like to welcome my new ones aboard. So thanks for tuning in. That'll do it for me on this Monday. Remember, drink water, change your socks, and get out there and do some PT. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.